Remember, guys, diversity first, story and facts second.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about what is an SJW, because I still have friends that just have no clue what an SJW is, and they live under rocks or they just don't pay attention to what's going on with social media or anything other than that. I mean, they have their Facebook pages, and then they look at the funny memes and everything like that, but that's about the extent of what they look on and their extent of their knowledge to what's going on around them. So an SJW is a social justice warrior, and they are supposedly all about pushing a progressive narrative. They are far left-leaning people who really believe that diversity is a key issue, and that there's a patriarchy with males at the top, and especially white males, and they're all about attacking society in a whole. And these people, I mean, you think that it doesn't affect you, but it is, and every day it's changing. And I've talked about this many times before. They're destroying movies, television, literature. I mean, they just don't care. They don't care what you like. And if you grew up in the 80s, you were probably one of those people that remember the PMRC. And the PMRC, Parents Music Resource something, I forget exactly what the lettering was. I mean, I'm sure you might know if you remember them, but you probably were against it. I mean, they were all about censoring things, and then they were all about trying to get certain records banned. Eventually it wound up getting settled where everything got warning labels, but I mean, you were probably one of those people that were against this when it was happening. It was a PC culture, and it's always come in circles. It came in the 80s, and then it slowly faded out in the 90s, and then you get into the 2000s and we're back at it again with the PC culture nonsense. I mean, it always keeps coming around, and people just don't learn from history. It keeps coming back. So if you're one of those people that were offended by the PMRC, yet you're sitting there and you're taking a backseat to these people now because they're on these social media platforms, and they're bashing people. I mean, in the 80s, I mean, yeah, you could probably go out in the streets and maybe somebody might yell something at you if you're against it, or they know you're against it, but that was about the extent to it. Now you got social media platforms where everybody's going and they're bashing everybody else, and it's wide ranging, and everybody is scared that their name's going to be thrown into the hat of wrongthink, and they think, well, I'm going to be labeled a Nazi, or I'm against these type of people, and because I don't support them. And it's nonsense. It's not. It's just them crying the loudest, and most people being scared to say anything. And it's not going to end until people actually stop worrying about what these lunatics say and think for themselves. I mean, there was a song from the 80s by a band called Testament that said that very same thing. People just don't get it. They don't learn from history, and it keeps repeating. It's an endless cycle. It's an endless cycle of stupidity.
So if you remember this and you're on board with them, well, congratulations. You become the new modern-aged, outraged soccer mom.
So if you're one of those people that were offended by the PMRC, and in today's culture you're scared to say anything, or you just don't see a problem, I mean, I equate it to this. If you think that these type of people are in the right, you must be one of those people that support separation of church and state. Essentially meaning that separation of church and state, you cannot practice any religion or teach any kind of religion in a public school setting. So if you're all on board with that, what is the difference between that and these lunatics who are going into schools today and preaching their message? Their message is like a religion, and if you don't think it is, you're blind. because they preach it as such. If you're in the wrong, they condemn you. They go on social media and they blast you. They do everything they can to try to destroy you. The same way that religious zealots have done for millennia. It's insanity. And people just don't get it. And they keep falling into the same fucking rabbit hole of fucking stupidity. And they refuse to stand up and say anything until it's too late. And that they've already become a victim. And then they want to come out and say something. Serious, guys. I mean, you just can't. You can't turn a blind eye to this and think it's just going to go away on its own. If somebody doesn't, if people don't stand up and you don't stand up and enough people don't stand up against this and say no more, it'll continue. Not to say it's not eventually going to come around again. Even if this wave of PC culture and nonsense is squashed, it will come back again because people don't pay attention. I mean, you have so many of the younger generation today that don't give a shit about history because they don't think it matters. But guess what? When you don't pay attention, you repeat these same cycles again. And it's going to keep happening. And it's up to us that understand and know to teach the next generation and show them the pitfalls and the mistakes. People just don't want to do it anymore, though. Anyway, guys, that's all I got to say on it for now. Seriously, think about it. Anyway, I'll catch you next time. Later, y'all.